y'all, this is Deborah with GenuineGrits.com. I'm the owner and proprietor. My blog is about cooking, travel, photography, recipes, and life in general. Today we're going to go through the recipe on how to make flawless sugar cookie icing. If you'd like the full downloadable recipe, you can visit us at www.genuinegrits.com. To get the full recipe, subscribe to our newsletter and you'll be able to get it in your email. So to start off, we're going to go through all of the ingredients that we're going to include in the recipe. So let's get started. So the first thing is I have a KitchenAid 5-quart mixer with a whisk attachment. We have all of our flavorings. I personally like to use almond extract, butter flavor extract, and clear vanilla extract. If you'd like your icing pure white, I recommend using the clear. All of the flavorings that I use are Wilton brand. You can pick up at any Michael's store. Next we have corn syrup, cream of tartar, egg whites, water, and powdered sugar. Okay, so the first step in making our flawless sugar cookie icing is be sure you have your whisk attachment. Also, the first thing that I like to do is wipe out the bowl with apple cider vinegar. This helps get rid of any residue, any grease from any prior cooking, which will help make your icing fluff up a little bit more and be a little bit more stable. All right. First thing we're going to do is add in the egg whites and add in our cream of tartar. You're going to mix this until it is light and fluffy. As you can see, there's little bits of cream of tartar in the bottom of the bowl. You want to be sure that you scrape really well to get those incorporated. Turn your mixer on high and let it run. Okay. As you can see, the egg whites are now nice and fluffy. You can opt to use meringue powder and water. I think it has a little bit of an aftertaste if you do that. That's why I like using the egg whites instead. Next, we're going to add the powdered sugar. I don't bother to sift my powdered sugar, and also I just use generic store brand. There's nothing fancy that you need in order to make this icing. So I'm going to add in about a cup and let it start mixing. If you try to put the entire bag in, you're going to end up with powdered sugar all over your kitchen. At this point, you can see that there is powdered sugar sticking to the sides of the bowl. Be sure that you scrape down all the way into the very bottom to make sure you get all of the dried powdered sugar. That's good. I'm going to add in about another cup. Turn it back on. As you can see at this stage, it's very sticky in the bowl. It's starting to dry out. That's perfectly okay. We're still going to go ahead and add in another cup. I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the sides again. You can see it's getting very dry right now, but not to worry. We're going to add in our flavorings and that'll really help bring it all together. Go ahead and add the rest of your powdered sugar. And at this point, I am also going to add in corn syrup. The corn syrup is what's really going to help it if you do a lot of piping or detail work. Gives it a lot of elasticity. And it also helps incorporate the powdered sugar a little bit better. We're gonna go ahead and add in our flavorings. Again, I opt to use almond extract, clear vanilla, and butter flavor. Okay, I'm gonna scrape it down one last time. You can see now we're really dry. This next step is extremely important, is when you add your water, you want to be sure to add in just about a teaspoon at a time, because a teaspoon will go a very, very long way. In this case, my mixture is extremely dry, so I'm going to start off with about 3 teaspoons. Scrape down again. You can see it's starting to come together. So we don't have too much more to add in, but it's still very thick. And always be sure to lock down the head of the mixer just to make sure it doesn't go flying. Okay, unlock it here. And you can see I've got really thick icing. It's actually probably a little bit thicker than the consistency of toothpaste. I'm gonna pop this off here. Scrape it down. This is another type of icing that is also commonly referred to as royal icing. You can use it for cakes. Typically at this stage, this is very thick and used for items such as piping roses, doing really heavy detail work. This will dry really hard. To do cookies, we don't want it quite this thick. So we're going to lock it back in here and continue to add our water. So just those 1 to 2 extra teaspoons gave us a little bit thinner icing. You're going to want 2 types of icing, one called damming and one called flooding. Your damming filling is going to be very thick like toothpaste, and your flooding is going to be thin almost like shampoo. At this point, I still think I want a little bit more water in here. You can see how it forms very stiff peaks, so that's a really good damming icing. To get through your tip number 1, it's probably still a little bit thick, and we still have to get what's down in the bottom of the bowl. Once we get the consistency that we really want, I typically let my mixer run anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes to make sure it's good and mixed in. Okay, so we've got our icing about where we want it. You can see it's very smooth, very easy to manipulate. So this is going to be your damming icing. What I typically do is I will break this out into 2 batches. I will do 1 batch for damming, so I'll take a little bit out of here and set it off in the bowl to the side. And then the other half is the flooding icing. So let's try that. Okay, so I've got the icing separated. I personally prefer to color my icing after separating it. You can do it prior to separation and then split it off to create your flooding icing. I put about a quarter of the recipe in a separate bowl, so this will be our damming icing. So now let's continue and create our flooding icing. The only thing we're going to do here is we want to get this to a consistency again about like runny shampoo. So we're going to add a little bit more water to it. Okay, we now have the consistency that we're looking for. You can see the runniness in it. Again, it's pretty close to shampoo. So I'll scrape this off here. You can see when I put it in the bowl the difference between the flood icing, which is on the left, and the dam icing, which is on the right. You can see the consistency between the two. How much thicker this is. That's how you know that you've got the right consistency. So now we've got our icing complete. As you can see, we've got some sugar cookies already baked up, ready to go. Be sure to subscribe to our newsletter if you'd like to get the downloadable recipe for the flawless icing. And until next time, see y'all later.